This is American Ground Radio. I'm Stephen Parr with Louis R. Avalone.
All right, so CNN had this heavily promoted town hall event
last
night.
There were at least a dozen people there.
Oh, well, it failed to resonate with the American people. I mean, and it was a huge fail. In fact, it was moderated by Don Lemon. Of course, who loves this country. We know he loves this country.
Sure.
And of course, I guess folks watching, they love this country too.
Okay.
Just wasn't the people who really love this country, apparently.
Okay.
It only averaged 1.5 million viewers. 1.5 million viewers. Now, remember, this is the president of the United States.
Right.
This is the candidate who received the most votes of any presidential candidate in American history.
What do you think the press would have said if Donald Trump had thrown a town hall and live viewing on Fox and only had 1.5 million people watch it?
Fox News had 2.7 million.
At the same time.
At the same
as
time.
Joe Biden counter-programming on the other side, the president of the United States.
It was so bad that MSNBC had more viewers at the same time and that Joe Biden was hosting his town hall.
MSNBC is another leftist organization. You would think that anybody on the left that loves Joe Biden would be watching Joe Biden on CNN, not whatever they were programming on MSNBC,
and
right?
You would think. But you know what was really interesting? Don Lemon referred to Joe Biden as the big guy. He said, you've been the big guy. This is a direct quote.
Yeah.
You've been the big guy for 6 months now in the White House.
Well, he was the big guy longer if you read Hunter's emails.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
The big guy, as you remember, was a reference to Biden in those leaked email threads where the big guy, he got like 50%?
It depends, 10 to 15%, somewhere in there.
Oh, it
10
was
to 15.
10 to 15.
10 to
10%
50. As a
gotcha.
minimum. But there were some where Hunter was claiming that Joe took 50%.
So even Don Lemon knows that Joe's the big guy.
He's the big guy.
He's taking a piece of the pie.
Right.
Now, I want you to listen to this. We have not edited this whatsoever, and this is getting to a more important point that I think we need to be making.
That's underway, just like the other question that's illogical. And I've heard you speak about it because I'm not being solicitous, but you're always straight up about what you're doing. Yeah. And the question is whether or not we should be in a position where you are, why can't the experts say, we know that this virus is in fact, it's going to be, or excuse me, we know why all the drugs approved are not temporarily approved, but permanently approved. Yeah. That's underway, too. I expect that to occur quickly.
Well, that means you mean for the FDA.
For the FDA.
Just stop for a second. Yeah. How could Don Lemon's his first question not be to Joe Biden, are you okay, Mr. President?
Because he clearly lost his train of thought, had no idea where he was.
There was a train of thought there?
There may have been at the beginning.
It was completely derailed from the very beginning.
And
you know why? There weren't any teleprompters.
Well, that's true. But then I don't even think he got back to what his original train of thought was by the end of that. Because John Lemon's like, oh, you mean with the FDA? Don Lemon was trying to clean up whatever that mental chaos was.
And that wasn't the only example of someone. Here's a clip where he's talking about basically how adopting his things. He doesn't even refer to his policies by name. They're just things. By adopting his two things, it will lead to lower inflation in this country.
You seem pretty confident that inflation is temporary, but if you're pumping all of this money into the economy, couldn't that add to...
No, look, here's the deal. Moody's today, when a Wall Street firm, not some liberal think tank, said if we pass the other two things I'm trying to get done, we will in fact reduce inflation. Reduce inflation. Reduce inflation. Because we're going to be providing good opportunities and jobs for people who in fact are going to be reinvesting that money back in all the things we're talking about.
See, if you
that's not how you reduce inflation.
Well, if you repeat it enough, if you repeat it enough, apparently it becomes more true. But see, this is all Obama's term. This is in President Obama. They practice Keynesian economics, which is the basically presupposes that for every dollar in government spending, there will be a greater than $1 economic activity that results. That's why Nancy Pelosi, you remember back in 2010, she said extending jobless benefits creates jobs faster than almost any other initiative you can name.
She left out a word. It creates job openings faster than just about anything
It's
else
a fallacy. Okay, here's another clip.
All right.
This is from his visit to the G7.
The rest of the world's wondering about us. Those of you who travel abroad, not a joke. Not a joke. You asked, when I went to this G7, all the major democracies, I walked in, and I know a lot of them because of my role in the past. And they walk in, and I said, America's back. And they go, I'm serious, heads of state. I give you my word as a Biden. I said, are you really back? I mean, how can we believe you, Joe. But will the country ever get it together? I talked to...
Oh, you know what?
First of all,
you know what? Yeah.
he gave his word as a Biden. What is that worth? What is that worth?
And the other part of this is, let me tell you something. This country is an exceptional nation, Joe.
Absolutely.
And what you should have done, Mr. President, you should have fired back. If that is in fact true.
I don't think any of that's true.
I don't think it's true either. But what he should have done, he should have mounted a defense for his love of this country and to let them know just how exceptional this nation is. Okay, here's one more clip. This is dealing with income tax.
Ever think of a time, those of you who are economists, who teach here economics, can you think of any time when the middle class did better, the wealthy didn't do really well? I'm not being facetious now. I'm being deadly earnest. Can you think of any time that's occurred when the middle class does better? I'm tired of...
No, just stop that. Just stop it. That was during the Trump administration.
Yeah, it did like 2 years ago.
The average middle-class family saw their household income rise nearly $6,000. That was before the pandemic started.
Right.
That was more than 5 times the gains during the Obama-Biden administration.
It was when Donald Trump cut taxes that the middle class, for the first time in at least a generation, perhaps 2 generations, was able to do better than the upper class. You know what else? It's not just the middle class. The lower class saw...
exactly.
The bottom income earners, they saw the fastest rise in income, higher than the top earners.
And what did he just say? He was tired of trickle-down economics. During the Trump administration, the gap between the rich and the poor, as you pointed out, it decreased.
Yes.
It wasn't just the rich getting richer. It was the least among us.
For the first time since Ronald Reagan was president, for the first time, the gap between rich and poor decreased. For the first time since Reagan was president. Who did trickle-down economics again?
And here we've got one last clip real quick from Congressman Madison Cawthorn, because he points out he does want to cognitively... Well, we're going to run out of time. We're going to play this clip on the other side of the top 3 things you need to know about tomorrow. But what he pointed out, I thought it was very interesting, because he's pointing out, yes, I would like to interview the president. I would like him to be cognitively evaluated. But I'm going to save what he had to say about who he actually wanted to talk to for the other side of the top 3 things you need to know before tomorrow.
You liked saying that, didn't you?
It was the first time I said
First time,
it.
yeah.
I think it's the first time.
Kind of fun, yeah.
Yeah, good. Yeah.
Okay. First thing you need to know before tomorrow, the number of people applying for first-time unemployment rose again last week by 419,000 people. That's an increase of 51,000 people from the week before and was more than most economists expected. But there was some good news in the report. The number of people filing for continuing unemployment fell by 1.3 million people. That means 12.6 million people are still on unemployment, the lowest number since March of last year.
You know, there's something completely wrong with that data.
What's that?
It's just, well, first of all, you know the IRS sent out a 4th round of stimulus checks.
Right.
A 4th round. Most of those were to first-time filers with the IRS.
Interesting.
What does that tell you? I mean, these are people whose information has never been on file with the IRS.
Before.
And now we've got a rise in unemployment application or unemployment compensation applications. something just isn't right here, especially when everyone has a help wanted sign outside their business.
Second thing you need to know before tomorrow, radio host Larry Elder will be allowed on the ballot in California's upcoming recall election of Governor Gavin Newsom. The Democrat Secretary of State Shirley Weber said Elder had not submitted 5 years of tax return information, but Judge Lori Earle ruled that not only did Elder provide those tax documents, but that requiring 5 years of tax documents doesn't even apply since this is not a regular election, but a special election.
I think there ought to be an investigation into the state of California. And who was it that disqualified him? Who?
It was Shirley Weber. He was the Secretary of State.
Well, they need to investigate her.
Third thing you need to know before tomorrow, Representative Margot Davidson, a Democrat in the Pennsylvania House, resigned today after investigation into her misuse of taxpayer funds. Pennsylvania Attorney General Josh Shapiro said Davidson filed fraudulent reimbursement claims for hotel stays and events that were already reimbursed by her political campaign. She's also accused of trying to get a witness to lie to investigators.
You know, come on, folks. I mean, I bet she's a Democrat.
She is a Democrat.
And many people say that's just not fair.
Well,
you do think Republicans don't? No, we all make mistakes. Maybe it was just an honest mistake.
Well, then why'd she resign?